So you've got to swim and, you know.
That's a beautiful medal.
That's the medal, that's the one.
It's going to go.
It'll probably end up in a frame, unfortunately, you know, and really, you know, as I said before, it doesn't cost anything to put this in someone's neck. I'm only like a coat hanger for this thing, for the year that I have the privilege of being, you know, of being Cathaoirleach for Westport Town Council. You know, it symbolises Westport Town, you know.
And will there be no figurehead in Westport Town now, when this is over?
No, it's not looking like it, it's not looking like it.
No, it's kind of strange, we'll miss that.
Oh, definitely. I think it's only when it's gone. It's only when things go that people kind of miss them, you know?
Really?
When they're there, you kind of take them for granted. It's kind of like the mountains and the trees outside, you know? When they're there, you look at them, you kind of take them for granted. When they're not there, you know? So, it'll be interesting.
You're in a historic position at the moment.
Totally, yeah. It is a historic position. A position, you know, I didn't really plan in one way, and while it being a historic position, it's not a legacy I would like to leave behind either. I would prefer to see somebody else take up this chain after I leave office.
Yeah. You're going to be the last chairman, Cathaoirleach.
It's looking like I'm going to be the last Cathaoirleach. Something I don't agree with whatsoever. I think it's been very important to Westport over the years, and I think going forward in the future it would be very important to Westport. It doesn't cost anything to put this over someone's neck. It represents Westport Town, what has gone before and what goes on in the future. And you know, I cannot understand why, while they may get rid of town councils, I cannot understand why they cannot retain the position of Cathaoirleach.
And when did it all start? When was the council set up first?
Westport Town Council,
yeah.
About 115 years ago, as far as I remember, as far as I know. I wasn't around to remember, but as far as I know, about 115 years. So, you know, there's a huge legacy there that's just going to be wiped out in one foul swoop. You go to any little village, Ollie, in Europe, they have a mayor in the town. You know, so it runs totally contrary to the European Charter that Ireland signed up to.
And why do you think it happened?
Why did
it happen?
What happened?
Were the abolition of the councils?
I think it's a document that was drafted by civil servants to suit civil servants. It suits a lot of agendas. It takes a lot of young people out of politics, Ollie. It doesn't, you know, I've always felt there was need for reform in local politics, but not the kind of reform that they've proposed and they're about to implement. And I think, you know, it's only when it's too late, and maybe too late to kind of reverse back to, that they'll be sorry that they've taken this approach. Like, it costs very little. It costs very little to. Who's going to work for would you get someone to work for you for 5,000 a year?
And that's what it's going to be, is it?
Well, that's what we get currently.
That's what you get, yeah.
That's what we get. We get €5,000 a year. You get more in the social welfare.
A lot more, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, who are you going to get to work for you for 5,000 a year? You know, I know people give out about councillors and whatnot, and I was one of those people before I got elected. And I only ever planned on running one term. I was never a career politician. I never planned on being a career politician.
And why not?
Because I have no interest. I love what I do. I'm a photographer. That's what I was born to do. That's what I'm going to do. You know, I never planned on being a politician, but I do believe in public service.
And how did you get involved in it?
I was involved in a bit of student union politics when I was in college. I was approached one day in the bank by Peter Flynn. We were just chatting about the elections, and he says, "Would you be interested in running?" I says, "No way, it's not for me." And we kind of that conversation continued for a little while, and in the end I says, "Why not? I'm going to give this a go."
Give it a whack, yeah.
If the people of Westport want to elect me, I'll give it a go.
And to go back to what you stated previously, you're a photographer.
Totally, yeah.
And where did you go to college in?
I went to college. I'm a self-taught photographer. I studied graphic design in Letterkenny. But a lot of good Westport people went through them doors.
So that was a good basis for photography?
Good basis, because I suppose it's funny in a way, and I studied with a lot of photographers. It was a great basis because When I was when I was going to college, it was kind of I could have went to Dunleary and studied photography, and I ended up going down the graphic design route because I liked a lot of the stuff that was taking place within graphic design that was photographic based. And this is for me. I liked that kind of. I didn't want to be a commercial photographer at the time. I wanted to be more of an art photographer, and I could see that potential in that graphic design course. I suppose in hindsight it worked out great because a lot of the stuff I learnt as a graphic designer, fast forward 8-10 years later, all became relevant. All became relevant. All these guys that we'll call them old school photographers, these were the skills that I had learned in college as a graphic designer were the skills that they now had to learn as photographers. So it kind of served me. It was a good master in the end.
There's a great history of photography in Westport, isn't there?
There is.
And there aren't many people involved since it started out. If you go back.
If you go back, no, there isn't, no. And photography has progressed so much in a really short space of time.
I think it has been stimulated by the social media, has it?
Social media is a great outlet for people to get their images out there. But the advent of digital photography has given everybody the ability to take pictures. So it's great, you know. And
you're pretty successful at this. You got a couple of awards.
Yeah, not too bad. But you're, as I say in my job, you're only as good as your last job, Holly.
What's your favourite one that we know about?
I have a few, but I have a couple of old photos. I have one or two old photos that I still look back on and say, wow, I'm proud of those. You know, sometimes you look back at your work and you say, Jesus, was that what I was doing? You know, and I do look back at some stuff I've shot and say, God, did I take that? But
you got a great one of the Ackle Hinge.
I did. I was lucky with the Ackle Hinge, but that was thanks to kind of the likes of Edwin McGrail in the Mayo News, who kind of broke that story and gave me the opportunity to shoot it.
You got a lot of exposure with that, didn't you?
I did. It went global. That photograph went everywhere. I sold that to newspapers in Switzerland, England, the States. It went global.
So you'll be sad to see the town council go, yeah?
I will, yeah, because I think Westport Town, and I suppose I was one of the naysayers before I was elected, and I thought, you know, you go in there and you do a lot. It's hard to do a lot in the system, but you still can achieve a lot. Now, you can achieve a lot. I had good colleagues there. There's a lot of good councillors, all parties. Solid, really good councillors who have the best intentions for Westport. And I think it's only when we're gone and the councillors are gone that it will be realised, you know, how much the councillors did contribute to Westport.